Hello, welcome everybody to the Awakening podcast. In this episode, I talked with my friend Indrek. He's a special guest today. So, Indrek is a person that I met through the Business Accelerator, and we've been chatting back and forth, meeting every week for the past couple of months. And so today we had a little session that I recorded also, and I take some parts out of our conversation and put it here into this week's episode. And hope you have a fun time listening and watching. And here we go.
At the end of October, I'm going to go to a 10-day vipassana retreat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Awesome. And where?
Here in Estonia, actually. I think it's actually going to be the first 10-day course here in Estonia.
Oh, nice, man. You gotta hit me up on that, how it was. Because I remember last year in August, I wanted to join the Vipassana here in Germany. I was like on the waiting list. There were like 100 spots, and I was number 101. And then I was ready to pack I actually packed my suitcase, was about to drive down there for like 4 or 5 hours. But then I made the call like, yo, how about my reservation? Is it fine now? Did I settle in? Like, did I sneak in? Like somebody jumped off, but then they told me no. So
wasn't your time, man. Wasn't your time.
But yeah, because it's been like a long time since I've done my course, like six years already ago. And I would love to do like a 10-day retreat. It's like kind of holiday from all this electricity, from all the computer stuff, social media, and all this bullshit talking from people. Sometimes, it's work. This Vipassana retreat is work, but also holiday for the mind a little bit.
It's a well-needed vacation from society.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if you go on vacation in, a tropical country or whatever, you're not going to get away from society unless you go to the jungle or something like that.
Yeah, there's always. Yeah, that's why I've been on a holiday, but this what I did with my friends was not like vacation. Like it was more like a party holiday. So it's not really relaxing. I'd say it was like more stress. Like the other guy took actually a vacation right after this, like 2 weeks later or something. Like you need vacation from the vacation. Like yeah, but even if you go to remote areas or Paradise Island, the Fuji Island or whatever, there's always these hotel people and other guests, and that will get you out of your meditation, for example, or out of your focus.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the Vipassana retreats, it's really noticeable how quickly the ability to dive deep into oneself is lessened in the 10th day, when the people start speaking again.
Yeah, I hated that too.
The mind starts chattering so much. It's just so much noise suddenly. When there was like days and days of just silence.
And suddenly everyone starts like, oh, this, that, that. Was just crazy. Huh?
Yeah.
Over exaggerate. Instead of staying in that quiet mode, they like start to over exaggerate again.
Yeah, but that is good as well, because that enables that person to really notice that that deep sense of social patterning, of feeling the need to connect, feeling out of that need to connect, like over exaggerating, lying, like fantasizing, thinking stuff up, and like all the shit that we do out of that basic need to socially connect with someone.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's really valuable. It's just a matter of the point of view that we take, and it's like evil is evil, but if I experience evil, to bring an extreme example, I can make good use of it. Like I can gain benefit from experiencing evil because I have the ability to relate to it from goodness and therefore receive a good outcome.
That's a pretty interesting point there, yeah.
That I'm constantly reminding myself of this and training this into me, that what I experience is a matter of how I relate to things, not of the things themselves. So if I am with a good person, that doesn't mean I get to have good things. If I relate in a negative way to that, then I'm going to get negative things from meeting that good person. But if I meet an evil person and I relate to them in a good way, then I'm going to get good things.
Interesting, yeah.
And it's sort of like the first, I guess, the passage into this territory of the relating is like still from the perspective of, oh, I want good things. So I'm going to choose the good perspective. And that's I guess sort of like the gateway belief into the field. But once I have once I already made like a few steps into actually believing this and being open to experiencing this and seeing the actual causality of this, then it becomes much less of, I want the good things and I don't want the bad things. It's just, hey, this is how reality actually works.
It's just things.
Yeah, like basically, fuck the things. I need to know how reality works and just perceive adequately and act adequately based on how reality is formed. And I guess it's a good analogy is just, gravity. I mean, you're not going to jump off a cliff because you know what's going to happen. And if we realize the same like universal laws of cause and effect, then you're just not going to do stupid shit anymore.
Yeah. Pretty good, man. It makes sense. So like, the law of common sense.
Yeah, sort of the law of just cause and effect, and noticing really clearly what it is that is causing things. Like really noticing, yeah, there seems to be causality outside, right? That, one outside thing causes another outside thing. But then noticing how the outside circumstances are being created by and in a sense guided by how I am relating internally, what my state is and has been for the last while. I mean, that takes some skill to notice, and I'm just happy that I'm able to notice it to the extent that I can deeply release myself into that instead of staying with a more mind dominant belief of, no, these are these outside things and they cause things as well. That's one version of reality, but I'm believing in it less and less, let's say.
Yeah, it's always like, well, not always. It's sometimes your mind overrides what it perceives, or like it interprets what it wants to see or doesn't want to see.
Yes. I heard a good sentence today is that don't cherry pick your interpretations. I mean, I think that was like bang on. That, especially in the field of spiritual advancement and psychedelic use and let's say shamanic practices as well, because that's the field that I am, let's say, a bit experienced in. One of my favorite shaman my teacher, let's say, uh, said something in one of her podcasts that has remained with me out of all of the things that she said. Well, and it was the difference between an initiate, an actual shaman, and someone with shamanic abilities, let's say, someone who has opened up their ability to journey and transform energies and work in parallel dimensional mental states, let's say. The difference between those two people is that a shaman is someone who can interpret what they experience in the right way, while the person who has just opened up some ability is still very stuck in egotistical interpretations of whatever they experience, and cannot, in that sense, and should not be working with other people, because they're a very tainted mirror.
Mm. Um, I had something to say, but I forgot. Just continue.
So yeah, my let's say commitment right now is to become a clear mirror for myself, mostly. I mean, yeah, I think about other people as well, like how I can be of use to them when I'm a clear mirror, but mostly I want to live a good life, and to do that I need to um, clearly mirror who it is that I actually am, instead of having there be dirt and a lot of weight on my mm, on my emotional states, and a lot of stress in my physical body due to that weight that I'm held onto.
Like you want to hold like observe like your inventory, like where you are, where you at, and then set goals to where you want to go, or how you want to develop into what kind of person, kind of like.
That's one thing. Like, actually, more and more developing a let's say mental understanding of the person that I choose to be. Out of all the versions of myself, out of all the, let's say, abilities, of all the aspects inside of me, what is it that I actually consciously like choose to be? And not from a perspective of not like denying some aspect of myself or invalidating like either goodness or evil, but from just like this heartfelt connection to myself, and just saying that I have a right to choose, I have the sovereignty to be whoever the fuck I want to be. Out of all of the versions of myself that I could be, I have the right to choose and the right to move towards that version, and to actually then, after saying that or believing that, actually tool myself to be able to do that. And I've done that through all of these various things, like the Wim Hof method, vipassana, psychedelics, sacred plants, and all the various things that I've experimented with have all led to this place of where I'm much more able to just allow myself to be who I am, and to deeply release everything that I have um, sort of stuffed inside of me, I guess, or stolen from other people as I've grown up. I really like the way Bashar sometimes puts it, don't be a belief thief. Like, whatever is heavy, whatever is painful, it's not you. You've stolen it from someone else, and let it go.
Yeah.
Don't be a
Like you're
believer.
the byproduct of like the 5 to 6 people you hang around the most time, and so this is like where the kids get messed up. They have like the grandchildren, like the grandparents and their parents. These are like the only 5, 6 people hanging around them the first 5, 6 years, and only putting their beliefs and their fears and so on this child. And this is like the child is just a product of the parents and great parents.
Yeah, and if the parents are very subconsciously, let's say, evil, or subconsciously suppressing their own malevolence, then they can easily, let's say, fool or pressure the child into um, also allowing a lot of evil to be seated inside of him or her.
Yeah, they created it somehow.
Yeah, in a sense, because I mean, all children just come into reality and they just absorb what is around them. They absorb the energy of their parents and the the beliefs and uh, like the energetic posture of the parents, because that is the environment. I mean, that's the world they're going to be living in, and only later, as more more adult beings, we realize that, hey, the way I was raised up was just one way out of many, many different ways. But to then, inside of my mind, uh, in my development of consciousness, reach back into that place where I totally took in, let's say, the how my mother was perceiving the world, and took that as the model of the world.
Yeah, that's why
To
we want to like get rid of all of these sankharas through like vipassana meditation.
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's just going back into the early stages of the mind where we created some very shitty models of the world.
Mhm. And then we act upon them, and later on when the children are in their teens, the parents get angry about the children, but it's actually themselves who are they angry with, but they
Yeah,
don't notice it.
but they don't realize it because
Yeah.
it's the causal link is too far.
Yeah. And I've
Ah,
seen this early on in my childhood growing up. I realized that, so I just tried my best to not react to other people's angriness towards me or whatever they have. Just let them do their thing. And yeah, you know what I mean?
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But have you developed any sort of practice or mentality? I think like practice is an advancement from mentality, right? So first you have the mentality, and then you start building the actual practice of what you do inside. But do you have a mentality or a practice already where you consciously try to see the things that you cannot see?
Yeah, that's actually a good description of what I did already growing up. So now it's kind of subconsciously inside of me. Yeah, exactly, like trying to notice the things that you can't see, or just have compassion for the other person because the other person doesn't know better, and don't react upon what is put upon you, because if you react, it just gets worse. Because this is like what I see a person getting angry, putting it to this person, then to this, then to the next one, and just the whole chain reaction, you know.
Yeah.
And this just gets distributed into the world, and it's always hitting like the next victim. You see, like sometimes if I go to, just shopping in a supermarket. You know, one time I was shopping with my father, and then behind us in line was some really angry guy. He was like, "Yeah, get the fuck away! I'm about to punch you in your face if you say something against me." I'm like, "Whoa!" And then my father got angry. You know, like, "Oh, this asshole!" I'm like, "Yo, what the fuck, man? Slow down, man." And he was like, this crazy dude, you know, was just, you know, yelling at the people there at the, you know, at the cashier where everyone was checking out. And like, what the fuck, you know? And you know, always the next weak person, or you know, for example, like the cashier gets the angriness from that other guy, and then she goes home and puts it on her child or whatever, you know. That's how you gotta see it, and that's so bad.
Yeah. I'm very happy that I haven't really overcome my anger, but I've certainly subdued it greatly compared to even like 6 months ago.
Yeah, or find an outlet where it doesn't hurt anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things people need to learn when they still can't like subdue it yet. And subdue doesn't mean like suppress or invalidate. It means to really, from that same place where I am exploding with that anger, I can from that same place calm it down, instead of, you know, exploding from one place in my consciousness and then like suppressing it from another place.
Yeah, I have a good way of, or how I would describe how to make a better situation out of situations like this, is to but channel the energy in a different direction. For example, like, do you know Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich?
Mm.
Yeah, there he talks about the transmutation of the sexual force. So angriness, for example, it comes from the lower area of your body, so from the sexual organs. This is like where it evolves. But so anger is just like, besides sexual stimulation, anger is like the easiest way out to let this energy out. But if you channel this energy and use it in your brain for, like, you can actually channel it and use it for creativity. Like, I observed a lot of rappers that came from the ghetto and stuff like that. They always have the story, yeah, there was so much negative around me, and I just took that angry and transmuted it and took it to something positive. So the energy is there, you just have to change it in a different form of energy, like Albert Einstein said. Energy cannot be destroyed, but channeled into a different, or I don't know how you say it, put into a different form.
I think that's a great point, and a necessary skill for all humans to at least develop, if not master. I mean, if a person is on a path of mastery, then it needs to be mastered. Like, really noticing and being able to harness the fact that all of these energies inside of the body that have different qualities to them, in the end, they're just the same energy with different qualities. And we need to learn to relate to them as just energy, and then to transmute the qualities of them. But I mean, that's a lot easier said than done.
Yeah. For example, I researched about business a little bit, and he said, some guy said, it's always about you want to give to the market what the market is asking for, and then the price is determined by that. So, for example, if the people demand shitty, aggressive rap music, they're gonna give it to them because they make the most money out of it. They would have the potential to make like really peace-loving, everyone united music, but apparently the market is not there, so it doesn't get distributed. So we stay in that lower vibration mode, for example.
Yeah. And if the market demands porn, give them loads of porn.
So that's why it's actually, that's what I always say, it's not a war, the poor people against the rich people, or the poor people against the elites, or super powerful. It's always a fight with each individual. Everyone has to, get it from themselves, like awaken themselves and be loving and fulfilling. And if everyone would do it, if there was no more aggression on the planet, we had a whole different society,
You said everyone should awaken themselves. How do you currently understand, what does that mean? What does it mean to awaken yourself? So what is the contrast in your experience? Because I've noticed various contrasts in my own experience of awakening to certain insights, and like awakening psychologically from like a sleeping state, like a dormant state, to a much more awakened state. And then like in meditation, having like these extremely like vibrantly sentient experiences where I feel like consciousness just like boom, boom, goes to a whole different level. But this is what I'm really pondering right now in my life, is what does it really mean to be awakened? What does it feel like?
Yeah, what you described, the last points, awaken to your sentientness, to your consciousness, and then you recognize that well, people act upon their emotions. They are hungry, so they get some food. They are angry, so they start to yell or whatever. They are in love, so they want to love somebody. But the awakening is that you are aware that you are not the emotions. The emotions is just a little part of the body, but there's like a whole separate entity, or like a conscious layer of I don't know, of yeah, like a whole ocean of unknown things that people are not aware of. So they're stuck with these little emotional things, and this is like determining their life.
What do you mean by unknown? A whole ocean of unknown things?
Yeah, for example, that there's more than these physical dimensions. Like you always say, like we have different dimensions, different planes of beings. We have yeah, we're not these physical robots running around. We are like free floating energy, and that is conscious, and it's not, the emotion underneath it. Emotions are just a physical thing. Yeah, it's to me, it's I don't know. Like if I reflect like 10 years back, and now I feel so much more easygoing. I'm not so, even though I stand under stress and pressure, I'm not so affected by it physically, mentally, and still have like a clear mind. It's actually the clearing of mind. If you don't have so many emotions running through you all the time, then you are much more clearer in your head. And this is like this, what we talked about, vipassana, these sankharas are like emotional attachments to the body. And this is what like deceives your perception. what we talked about earlier, and this forms like our belief system, and this is how we act then.
I think you phrased it in a really nice way, like the emotional attachment to the body.
Yeah.
That brings a nice perspective to it that I haven't thought about for quite a while.
Yeah, because, for example, I'd see it like this, this is like the body and this is like the consciousness. The body, shakes up, makes this and that, but this consciousness still has power over this body and can say, even though the body might want to go this direction, the consciousness can still decide, yeah, I want to go in this way. For example, the emotions tear you in this direction, but you can consciously recognize it. Oh, it's not good for me, so I better go this way. You know what I mean?
But in that sense, I wouldn't say that the body wants to go in that direction. I would say that the mind wants to go in the other direction. But it's the physical mind, right? So the mind and the body interlinked.
Yes, exactly. So, for example, you could be really hungry, like you gotta eat right now, like you're totally starving and going crazy, but you can still, consciously say, no, I'm not eating, I'm just sitting here and waiting, and then see what happens.
Yeah.
Like the body always wants to fulfill desires. But you don't need to, And this is what I mean. People are like, they're putting their emotional state in front of everything. Like, I want to eat now. I got to get this done now. I want to go to McDonald's or whatever. And then the next thing pops up. Now I want to get a new haircut, or now I want to get new clothes. Now I want to take a shower, and and this is like what I noticed. People are just so determined by their emotional attachment to their body, so they're only running around after their body, and instead of taking charge of their mind first and then determine the body. And yes. So you can also train this by physical exercise. Like you still, if you're lifting weights, for example, your body already tells you, oh no, I'm so exhausted, I can't do. But then you say to yourself, yeah, I'm doing 2 more reps, and then you find out you can do 3 more reps and overcome this way.
I think now is a good time to end our conversation.
Yeah. We already got like 1 hour here.
Yeah, roughly.
Yeah. So that's were just my thoughts.